Chapter 327. 6 sword-shaped plants had increased Yi Chen's sword intent to 90%, but it was just the beginning. As the 7th plant was used up, Yi Chen could feel that the sword intent that he had learned earlier was being verified with the 7th plant's sword intent. It felt like he had accumulated a lot of experience. It seems like the accumulation of sword intent was right after all. Without those 20 days of training, it would still be unknown if my sword intent could reach 90%, not to mention breaking through to a higher realm. The sword intent inside the plant was actually not perfect, and the sword intent leaking out from the crack was not perfect either. But the two combined together and complemented each other, making it a lot more complete. Time flew by like water. Yi Chen had used up all of his stored sword-shaped plants, and the reward was shocking. According to his own estimation, his sword intent was at least 93%, and was not far from 99%. As his sword intent continued to increase, Yi Chen finally had some understanding of the immortal mentality. First of all, the immortal mentality was something beyond the mentality, and was above it. Secondly, the immortal mentality was very special, and had nothing to do with most of the mentalities. After all, even if it was beyond the mentality, it would still have something to do with it. At least, it would be based on the mentality, and it would be impossible to create something out of nothing. However, the immortal mentality seemed to be created out of nothing, from nothing, from nothing, from nothing, and from nothing. Yi Chen did not know if he had guessed it right or not, but he thought that the immortal mentality meant the highest level, and was above everything else. Forget it. With my cultivation, thinking about it would drive me crazy. I would need to at least reach the Sea of Souls realm before I could even think about it. For things that he had no clue about, he would never try to understand it forcefully. That would only drive him crazy, and it would not be worth it. Above the pond, Yi Chen lifted up his fist and threw out a punch. Shoo! A vacuum tunnel was torn open in the air, and it was quickly filled up with new air, making an extremely shrill scream. Pooh! The waterfall was cut in half like a piece of cloth, one top and one bottom. My comprehensive ability has allowed me to increase my martial art realm at an extremely fast speed, and the higher the martial art realm, the faster my cultivation base will increase as well. However, the higher the sword intent realm, it can also increase my cultivation speed. It has only been a month since I came out, and my cultivation base has already been completely stabilized. I am about to reach the peak of early astral reaching realm. It was undeniable that Yi Chen's rapid growth in cultivation had a lot to do with the growth of his sword intent. In fact, in terms of cultivation talent, Yi Chen was just at the level of top geniuses. However, the sword intent had made his mind more clear, clearing away all distracting thoughts, allowing him to bring out his cultivation talent to 100%, or even 120%. However, some of the extremely talented people might not even be able to bring out 90 or 80% of their cultivation talent. The sword-shaped plant had been used up, but Yi Chen's learning had not disappeared yet. He planned to stay here for a few more days until he could no longer learn anymore. Wild Goose Falling River, Natural Moat Gorge. The number of swordsmen outside the fissure continued to increase. Unknowingly, the number of swordsmen had exceeded 100. Every day, many people would leave, and many more would come. And among the swordsmen who had come this time, 2 of them were extremely eye-catching. One of them was the astral reaching realm sword artist Song Yan, who had met Yi Chen once before. The other one was an elder in black robes. His face was dry, and he did not have a beard. His eyes were as calm as an ancient well. Judging their cultivation, they were only at mid and late astral reaching realm, which was not that horrifying. However, their sword intent had reached 90%, which allowed them to fight against the Battle King's sword intent that was 1 mile away from the fissure. Indeed, they were right outside the fissure. In the past couple of months, it was the first time that sword artists had appeared in this place, and there were 2 of them at the same time. 90% sword intent. So horrifying. I heard that once you reach the completion of the sword intent, battling beyond realms would be as easy as eating and drinking. But to reach the completion of the sword intent would be extremely hard. I have been stuck at 60% sword intent for a couple of years now, and there is still no sign of a breakthrough. All of the swordsmen nearby could not help but discuss. 1 mile away, the elder in black robes mumbled to himself, no matter how powerful the sword intent is, it will be destroyed one day. It seems like this Battle King's sword intent is going to disappear soon. Song Yen chuckled, it is already impressive for it to exist for 500 years. Sword Elder, do you know what level the Battle King's sword intent has reached? Unpredictable. Unpredictable. It is almost at the level of the natural law. Almost at the natural law. So horrifying. Song Yen gasped. The natural law was something that only life and death realm warriors could learn. According to the legends, once one learned the natural law, he or she would be able to reach another realm, one that was beyond the life and death realm. Unfortunately, no one had ever learned the natural law. If the Battle King's level was close to the natural law, then why had he not become an emperor yet? I do not know why, but the fact that the Battle King's sword intent could exist for 500 years means that it is already close to the natural law. Perhaps, our cultivation is still too low, and there is still a huge gap between us and the Battle King. Once we fill this gap, we will be able to touch the Battle King realm. Song Yen nodded. Indeed, they were the top of the astral-reaching realm warriors, but compared to the Battle King, they were just like ants. Talking about high-level stuff with the status of ants was already extremely ridiculous. Letting out a breath, Song Yen raised his head and looked at the crack. This crack had only appeared last year. The natural moat gorge and the Battle King's sword intent would indeed not last for too long. 3 to 5 years at the slowest, and 1.5 years at the fastest, the Battle King's sword intent would disappear for sure. We should take this opportunity to learn more about the sword intent and collect some sword-shaped plants. Yeah, that makes sense. The two calmed down and sank into the state of learning. Crack! Crack! Boom! Just when the two of them were trying to comprehend the sword will, a huge crack suddenly appeared on the natural moat gorge. The crack meandered and climbed all the way to the top of the gorge, reaching a height of 17,000 to 18,000 meters. The center of the crack was pitch black, like the mouth of a demon. The strong vibration woke everyone up. Another crack has appeared. The Sword Elder frowned. Song Yen sighed inwardly. Because of the existence of the Battle King's sword intent, the natural moat gorge had already become the holy land for sword artists. But this holy land would also disappear in the near future. He did not know whether he should be sad or sad. Look! A huge amount of sword-shaped plants are flying out. So many! We have made it. Once the second crack was created, the violent vibration brought up the airflow, creating a strong whirlwind. Within the whirlwind, there were dozens of sword-shaped plants. They were all like sharp swords, shooting out with a shocking sword intent. They were as fast as lightning. The Sword Elder laughed. Song Yen, our luck is not bad. It has only been 1 day, and we have already found a huge amount of sword-shaped plants. I only need 10. Song Yan's body flashed as he reached out his arms, trying to grab the plants nearby. This time, I am trying to reach the completion of my sword intent. 15 will be fine. The Sword Elder did not want to pass on the responsibility, so he started to fight for the other plants. Shoo! Not far away, a blue figure flew over at an extreme speed. Luckily, I made it in time. Another crack had appeared in the gorge. The blue figure was indeed Yi Chen. Right then, he saw the plants shooting out of the crack, so he would not waste any time. His speed increased to its limit, and within 2 flashes, he had already reached 1 mile away. What? Another sword artist with 90% sword intent? It is him. Half a month ago, people from the Floating Mountain Martial School had come to find him. Many of the sword artists had recognized Yi Chen. As for Song Yen and the Sword Elder, they were also shocked. After seeing the face of the person who had just arrived, Song Yen was even more shocked. Brother Yi, I did not expect you to reach 90% sword intent from 70% sword intent in just 2 years. Congratulations. Hearing him, the Sword Elder's eyebrows flicked. This person is indeed the #1 martial genius of the South Rudra region, Yi Chen. No wonder he has such a horrifying sword intent. No, this sword intent is not a normal 90% sword intent. The Sword Elder was extremely shocked. Even his speed of getting the plants had slowed down a bit, because he had sensed something similar to the Battle King's sword intent from Yi Chen's sword intent. With the 3 plants in his hands, Yi Chen continued to fight. He said, "Senior Song Yen, long time no see. What is going on with this crack?" Back then, the Sky Pillar Mountain had been sliced open by the Battle King's sword attack. A lot of places had been shaken up, but because the sword intent had always been in a rich state, it had the effect of toughening the rocks. Now that the Battle King's sword intent has been weakening, the gorge is about to collapse as well. This crack is a sign of it collapsing. I see. Yi Chen had always been confused. Since he could get the plants here, why did Song Yen still want to fight for them in the auction? It seemed like when the auction was held in the Gold Tripod City, the crack had not appeared yet, so the sword intent had to be trained on the river on both sides of the gorge. On top of the gorge, all of the top warriors from all of the martial institutions were shocked. Not good. Another crack has appeared. The day of the gorge collapsing is not far away. A lot of people are fighting for the plants down there, which belong to all of us. If I have guessed it right, there will be more cracks appearing in the coming days. By then, there will be even more plants flying out. If we do not do something soon, it will be a huge loss. Tell the others to lock down the gorge and get rid of these sword artists. Ha! I have been annoyed by these sword artists for a long time. Shoo! 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 Soon, dozens of astral-reaching realm warriors flew down from the top of the gorge. Some of them yelled, "This place has been locked down. Everyone, leave. If you do not leave, we will kill you." The dozens of astral-reaching realm warriors were still at the front. Soon, more astral-reaching realm warriors arrived. There were no less than 500 of them, since there were more powerful martial institutions stationed at the top of the gorge than the sword artists on the scene. As they were talking, all of the powerful martial institutions started to chase the people away. Their powerful Jin Yuan vibration gathered together, looking like a tsunami that could shatter the sky and crack the ground. So aggressive! How dare they chase us away? The natural moat gorge was created by the Battle King. If we are talking about the owner, it would be the Battle King and his descendants. They have been ruling the gorge for a long time, and now they want to chase us away. All of the sword artists on the scene were very angry. Chapter 328. Boom! 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 Huge holes that were dozens of meters deep appeared on the ground. That horrifying Jin Yuan flow had brought up the natural Yuan Qi, bringing up a horrifying Qi wave, forcing all of the sword artists to leave the place. So aggressive! The Sword Elder had almost been hit by a Jin Yuan flow, his face turning black. Song Yan's luck was not so good, as his clothes had been torn apart by the Qi wave, revealing the low-rank inner armor underneath. The 13th plant. Activating his Jin Yuan, Yi Chen's body flashed as he grabbed onto the 13th plant, preparing to leave. Ha! How dare you try to steal the plant right under our noses? Make him spit out all of the plants. 7 to 8 astral-reaching realm warriors had noticed Yi Chen, so they all rushed over, each throwing out a horrifying Jin Yuan flow. Yi Chen frowned as he took out his Star Scar sword, using his green lotus flower seizing seal to block out the incoming attack. How dare you? How dare you fight back? Hand over all of the plants, and we will let you live. These people saw that Yi Chen had blocked out their attacks so easily, so they were quite shocked. Although there were only 2 mid-astral reaching realm warriors among them, their combined power was so powerful that even late astral reaching realm warriors would not dare to take it head-on. However, Yi Chen had managed to take it all with one attack. With the advantage in numbers, the 2 leading warriors had a dark look on their faces as they pointed at Yi Chen and yelled. Backing out to the safe area, Yi Chen stood on the ground and said with a cold voice, "I have no problem with you locking down the natural moat gorge. But, I will not hand over the plants. Even if you don't want to, you will have to. Don't force us to kill you." Yi Chen squeezed his eyes slightly. To be honest, as long as Sea of Souls realm warriors did not show up, he would not be afraid of anyone. Right now, his sword intent had already reached 93%, and because it contained the immortal mentality, it was almost equivalent to the completed sword intent. He was confident that he could beat Jin Huang even if he ran into him. Although there were a lot of powerful martial artists stationed in the canyon, as long as they did not surround him, they would not be able to do anything to him. Therefore, asking him to hand over the plants would be a pipe dream. Not to mention the fact that they would be useful to him, even if they were not, he would not hand them over. Just as Yi Chen was about to attack, the ghost head took a step out. "You guys, don't push it too far. I, the sword head, have been in the South Rudra region for so many years, and even the leaders of rank 7 martial institutions would have to be polite to me. Who do you think you are? How dare you yell at me like this? Who attacked me before? Are you blind? What? It's Sword Elder. One of the top 10 sword artists in the astral reaching realm, the Sword Elder, and the one right next to him seems to be Song Yen, right? Although Song Yen is not in the top 10 sword artists, but he is still one of the top 10 sword artists. The few of them were a bit scared. The Sword Elder was a loner, without any family or friends. His own power was horrifying, and he was ranked at the top of the top 10 sword artists. Below the Sea of Souls realm, there were barely any powerful warriors who could compete with him. Therefore, most of the time, rank 7 martial institutions would not dare to mess with the Sword Elder, since there would not be any Sea of Souls realm warriors in the martial institutions. If they messed with the Sword Elder, he could easily kill a couple of people and then run away, then come back in a few days to kill more people. Without a certain amount of astral reaching realm warriors, it would be impossible to kill him. If it were only these, then it would not be a big deal. A few years ago, there was a powerful sword artist who was called the Blood Sword Artist. Just like the Sword Elder, he was one of the top 10 sword artists in the astral reaching realm. At that time, a master of a rank 7 martial institution had bullied others, and was killed by the Blood Sword Artist. The leader of the rank 7 martial institution was furious, and sent out a lot of astral reaching realm warriors to chase after the Blood Sword Artist. However, the Blood Sword Artist's battling power was extremely powerful. He fought while running, and eventually killed a lot of his pursuers. The leader of the rank 7 martial institution regretted it. The number of astral reaching realm warriors in a rank 7 martial institution was limited, and a lot of them had been killed by the Blood Sword Artist. Their overall power had dropped drastically, and it would not be worth it. However, it would be impossible for him to let go of his pride, so he could only send out a notice, asking the Blood Sword Artist to come and apologize. However, who was the Blood Sword Artist? He was a famous brutal warrior in the whole South Rudra region. His killing intent was extremely heavy. As long as he did not cause any trouble, it would be fine. But, if he did, he would exhaust you to death. In the past 2 years, the rank 7 martial institutions that had messed with the Blood Sword Artist had been forced to hide in their martial institutions, not daring to go out. Their disciples had left the martial institutions one after another, and a lot of the masters could not stand it either. Some of them had left the martial institutions, while others had joined other martial institutions. Not long after, this rank 7 martial institution had fallen completely, and was forced to become a rank 8 martial institution. One had to admit that the Blood Sword Artist was too brutal. He had messed up the martial institutions, but he still did not want to let it go. Finally, one day, he sneaked in and killed the leader of the martial institution. Then, he started a massacre, killing all of the astral reaching realm warriors in the martial institutions, completing the miracle of one man destroying a martial institution. It was the first time in hundreds of years that something like this had happened. With the example of the Blood Sword Artist, all of the rank 7 martial institutions had come to the same conclusion: never mess with an astral reaching realm warrior with super powerful battling power, unless you had the confidence to kill him with one attack. Otherwise, if he did not die, then the future would be hard to live. The martial institutions that they were in might become the second sacrifice in hundreds of years. It is the Sword Elder. We were blind and could not recognize you. Please forgive us. The attitude of the group of people had changed drastically, as they cupped their fists and apologized. Right next to the Sword Elder, Song Yen snorted, "My brother Yi had already left that area, yet you still dared to chase after him. I am not afraid to tell you that his battling power is not weaker than mine. Even if he killed you, your martial institutions might not be able to do anything about it." Song Yen did not know what level Yi Chen's battling power was at, but he had a feeling that Yi Chen's battling power might not be weaker than his, and might even be above it. It could be seen from the Sword Elder's shocked expression. Plus, Yi Chen was the #1 martial genius in the whole South Rudra region. As a top martial genius, how could he only have sword intent as his ace? His sword movements and poetic perspectives were equally horrifying. Not weaker than Song Yen. The few of them looked at each other. Who was Song Yen? Even if he was not one of the top 10 astral reaching realm sword artists, he should at least be in the top 20. He was listed as a second-class warrior by the rank 7 martial institutions, and Yi Chen's power was not weaker than him. Did it not mean that he was also a second-class warrior by the rank 7 martial institutions? Sorry. The leader of the group took a deep breath, feeling extremely regretful. Judging from Yi Chen's tough tone, Song Yan's words might not be fake. Compared to his life, what was an apology? He was afraid that he would be too shy and refuse to admit his mistake, which would make him a powerful enemy. Putting away his sword intent, Yi Chen looked very calm. He did not accept the apology, but he did not reject it either. The Sword Elder opened his mouth. "All right, you guys go and remind the others not to push it too far. The sword-shaped plant belongs to the individual." "Yes, then we will leave now." The few of them were still afraid of the Sword Elder. It was easy to tell that the Sword Elder and Song Yen were good friends. Song Yen had called Yi Chen brother Yi, which meant that they were quite close. Once he reached that level, his battling power would definitely increase by a small level, which would be very useful to him. He knew very well that his battling power was not as powerful as the Sword Elder yet, and not as powerful as the top 10 sword artists in the astral reaching realm. To be able to be in the top 10, one's cultivation would have to be at least at the late astral reaching realm, and the martial arts and sword arts that they trained would have to be at least high-rank earth realm. Their sword intent would also have to be at least 90%. All in all, their battling power would be amazing. Even if Yi Chen had a lot of advantages, he would still not be able to compete with them. Of course, the only thing that Yi Chen lacked was his cultivation, which was relatively easy to increase, since it was where his potential lied. Secondly, he had gotten 13 sword-shaped plants this time, which would be perfect for him to train his sword intent in the training room in the martial city, which would be more peaceful than anywhere else. Although I am not alone, and I am not as free as the Sword Elder and the Blood Sword Artist, who are able to fight against rank 7 martial institutions without any worries, but with that powerful man and the South Rudra Martial School, the Sky Cloud Martial School and the Yi family are pretty safe. Once my power reaches the level of the top 10 astral reaching realm sword artists, there would be very few things in the South Rudra region that could threaten me. Yi Chen kept thinking and thinking about other things at the same time. A couple of days later, Yi Chen arrived at the martial city. Without stopping, he walked straight to the trading palace in the inner city. Chapter 329. The trading palace had always been very popular, and it would always be packed with people. In the entire South Rudra region, only the martial city's trading palace had the most treasures and spirit plants. Although the other big countries also had similar cities for warriors, they were still not as good as the martial city. Mid-rank great weapon, light spear, obtained from the Blood Demon battlefield in the Star Region Lake. The starting price is 30,000 mid-rank soul stones. The highest bidder wins. Once he entered the trading palace, Yi Chen saw someone selling a mid-rank great weapon. It was a long spear with a colorful light. The tip of the spear was shining with a cold light, giving people a feeling that it was indestructible. It was definitely one of the top mid-rank great weapons. What? A mid-rank great weapon? Let's go check it out. How could the things from the Blood Demon battlefield be bad? That place is full of danger and opportunities. There are unimaginable treasures there. The seller yelled out casually. Immediately, 4 to 5 astral-reaching realm warriors surrounded him. Blood Demon battlefield. Yi Chen had heard about the Blood Demon battlefield before. It was said that it was just like the Heavenly Dream ancient region, which had existed since the ancient era. There were a lot of blood demons inside, which were divided into low-rank blood demons, low-rank blood demons, middle-rank blood demons, top-rank blood demons, and the extremely horrifying blood demon generals and blood demon kings. Blood Demon battlefield was more like a small space than a battlefield. Of course, this small space was way bigger than the Heavenly Dream ancient region, and it was divided into 2 layers. The first layer was for low-rank blood demons and middle-rank blood demons, while the second layer was for mid-rank blood demons and top-rank blood demons. Although it is a bit troublesome, after I reach the astral reaching realm, I will still need to change my Star Scar sword. Blood Demon battlefield will be my second destination. After making up his mind, Yi Chen decided to go to the Blood Demon battlefield to find a mid-rank great sword. A mid-rank great sword would be able to increase the attacking power by 30 to 40%, which was a must-have for all astral reaching realm sword artists. The trading palace was huge. It was miles in radius, almost as big as a small town. It's an alchemist. Arriving at the center of the trading hall, Yi Chen's gaze landed on a white-bearded old man. The old man was dressed in a long robe that had an alchemy cauldron embroidered on it. With a single glance, one could tell that it was the unique clothing of an alchemist. In front of him, there was a crystal counter with all sorts of pills on it. There were pills to recover Jin Yuan, pills to mend meridians, pills to speed up the recovery of Jin Yuan, and there was even a thumb-sized unknown pill that shone with starlight. There were quite a lot of astral-reaching realm warriors in front of the crystal counter. They were all very respectful, not daring to make any noise. From this, one could tell that this alchemist in his 60s was not a simple person. Pill Elder, give me a bottle of miraculous spirit pills for repairing meridians. Pill Elder, I still owe you 1,000 mid-grade spirit stones from last time. I'll pay you back in one lump sum. As they spoke, Yi Chen walked over. Is this the Earth Star pill? Yi Chen pointed at the thumb-sized pill on the crystal counter and asked. The old man nodded, indeed. The Earth Star pill can increase the cultivation of astral-reaching realm warriors, but it cannot help them make a breakthrough. Little friend, do you want to buy it? Yi Chen looked at the price. 1,000 mid-grade spirit stones for one was indeed expensive, but he did not care. In this world where power was everything, everything had to be for the sake of improving one's power. Give me 5 of them, and 2 bottles of each of the other 3 types of pills. The Pill Elder was a bit surprised. Seeing that Yi Chen was so young, he seemed to be quite rich. With all these pills added together, it would be more than 10,000 mid-grade spirit stones. Of course, the more pills Yi Chen bought, the happier he would be. He smiled and said, 5 Earth Star pills would be 5,000 mid-grade spirit stones, 2 bottles of 7-star pills for recovering Jin Yuan would be 1,200 mid-grade spirit stones, 2 bottles of miraculous spirit pills for accelerating Jin Yuan recovery would be 1,500 mid-grade spirit stones, and 2 bottles of miraculous spirit pills for repairing meridians would be 3,000 mid-grade spirit stones. In total, it would be 10,700 mid-grade spirit stones. Little friend, since this is your first time here, I won't take the 700 mid-grade spirit stones, just 10,000 mid-grade spirit stones would be enough. Alright, here you go. Yi Chen took out a box filled with mid-grade spirit stones from his storage ring and placed it on the floor in front of the Pill Elder. After the transaction, Yi Chen walked around for a bit. Seeing that there was nothing else that caught his eye, he left the trading palace and came to the training room lobby inside the city. In front of the platform was still the beautiful lady. It was her first time seeing such a young astral-reaching realm warrior. She felt that he looked familiar, but she was not sure. She said with respect, "Excuse me, would you like a high-rank training room or a top-rank training room?" The training rooms were divided into 4 ranks: low rank, mid rank, high rank, and top rank. Among them, only astral-reaching realm warriors had the right to use the high rank and top rank. Below the astral-reaching realm, no matter how many spirit stones one had, one would not be able to go in and train. This was the rule of the martial city. Yichen said, "How much for a top-rank training room?" The top-rank training room would cost 30,000 low-rank spirit stones a day. If you pay with mid-rank spirit stones, it would be 500. The lady answered honestly. Pay the low-rank spirit stones. These are the spirit stones for 3 days. Yichen thought about it and decided to pay the low-rank spirit stones. Although paying with mid-rank spirit stones seemed a bit cheaper, since 500 mid-rank spirit stones were equivalent to 25,000 low-rank spirit stones, for him, there were not many opportunities for him to use low-rank spirit stones. Mid-rank spirit stones were very useful. Sometimes, 50 low-rank spirit stones might not even be enough for one mid-rank spirit stone. Of course, for most of the astral-reaching realm warriors, Yichen's mid-rank spirit stones were shocking. After killing 5 astral-reaching realm warriors, he had gotten 100,000 mid-rank spirit stones. Adding his own, he had 160,000 mid-rank spirit stones in total. He had just spent 10,000 on the pellets, so he still had 150,000 left. In comparison, Yichen had even more low-rank spirit stones, which were piled up like a mountain. He had gotten more than 1 million low-rank spirit stones from the 5 astral-reaching realm warriors. Adding his own, it had reached 3,500,000. It was a frightening amount of wealth, even richer than a rank 9 martial school, and comparable to some of the weaker rank 8 martial schools. Taking the jade tag, Yichen was led to the training room area in the back by the attendant. 30,000 low-rank spirit stones a day, that would be 300,000 low-rank spirit stones in 10 days. This training room is quite profitable. While thinking, Yichen arrived outside a courtyard. This is the 3rd top-ranked training room. "Sir, please come in." The attendant opened the door for Yichen and bowed respectfully. Yichen nodded and took out 30 low-rank spirit stones, throwing them to the attendant. "This is your tip." "Thank you." The attendant was very excited. The top-ranked training room was a bit wider than the mid-ranked training room. Once he entered, Yichen could feel the temperature around him rising. However, staying inside did not make him feel hot at all. On the contrary, his body felt very warm, and his slowly circulating Jin Yuan started to boil. As his soul power spread out, Yichen could see the value of the top-ranked training room. The qi rising from the ground was not light red, but dark red, which was way more than the mid-ranked training room. The materials on the walls were not simple either. Once the dark red qi touched it, it bounced back immediately, moving closer to the center of the training room, forming an extremely dense spherical area. The fire qi of the earth evil Jin qi is more than 10 times denser than the mid-ranked training room. It is indeed a top-ranked training room. I wonder what it would be like to train near the earth evil Jin fire. Slowly letting out a breath, Yichen sat on the cushion in the middle of the training room with his eyes slightly closed, entering the training mode. After a while, he opened his eyes. "It seems like I only need 1 earth astral pellet. I was already not far from the peak level early astral reaching realm. Combined with this top-ranked training room, it would be much easier." Taking out the thumb-sized earth astral pellet, Yichen stuffed it into his mouth. 3 days later, Yichen had reached the peak level early astral reaching realm as he wished. His Jin Yuan was 50% denser than 3 days ago, but the purity did not increase much, since the purity would increase along with the realm. Going from the early astral reaching realm to the peak level did not count as a realm increase. The earth astral pellet is indeed mysterious. Besides not being able to help me make a breakthrough, it has a huge effect on increasing my cultivation, saving me a lot of time. Continuing to train was already useless, since reaching the mid-astral reaching realm was not something that could be done in a short period of time. Next, Yi Chen's target was the sword intent. The training field of the top-ranked training room was extremely vast. From east to west, it was 300 to 400 meters long, which was much bigger than a big family's yard. Absorbing the sword intent from the sword-shaped plant, Yi Chen held the broken Battle Emperor's sword and threw out a sword attack onto the training column in front of him. Swoosh! The material of the training column was close to a low-rank great weapon, and it only left a 3-inch deep sword mark. The immortal sword intent spread out with the sword mark as the center. The good thing was that it was not too wide, and it did not go beyond the training field. Otherwise, it would cause some trouble. Being covered by the sword intent, Yi Chen calmed himself down and started to train. Soon, half a month had passed. Yi Chen opened his eyes. Just as I expected, the closer I am to the completion, the harder it is to train. During this half a month, I have used up 8 sword-shaped plants in total, but it only increased my sword intent from 93% to 95%. I wonder how many sword-shaped plants I will need to fill up the remaining gap. Without much hesitation, Yi Chen continued to take out the sword-shaped plants. 7 days passed. There are only 2 sword-shaped plants left. There is no chance for me to reach the completion. Forcing a smile, Yi Chen shook his head. Although he had prepared for it, the difficulty of training the sword intent was still beyond his expectation. No wonder the Sword Elder, who was one of the top 10 sword artists in the South Rudra region, was still stuck at 90% sword intent. He wondered who among the other 9 sword artists had reached the completion, and who had learned the completed sword intent. Only by reaching the completed sword intent would one be able to reach the higher realms. The last 2 sword-shaped plants had finally been used up. Right now, Yi Chen's sword intent had stopped at 97%, which was only a tiny bit away from the completion. And this tiny bit would take a lot of years to reach. But of course, Yi Chen's sword intent contained the immortal mentality, which could compete with the completed sword intent, which was his advantage. It is time to leave. Next stop, the Blood Demon battlefield in the Star Region Lake. After resting for a day, Yi Chen had stayed in the top-ranked training room for a whole month. He had paid 900,000 low-rank soul stones, but the good thing was that it was worth it. Right now, he only needed an opportunity to reach the mid-astral reaching realm. Chapter 330. How many days has it been since he left? Whistling Wind Restaurant was one of the top restaurants in Marshall City. In a private room on the 3rd floor, 7 or 8 astral reaching experts were sitting. The one leading them was Floating Mountain Sect's core elder, Taoist Jin Huang. He wore a long gray robe with golden threads embroidered on the edges. At this moment, he glanced around and asked the astral reaching expert in front of him. 3 days. This person was one of the astral reaching experts following Yi Chen. Half a month ago, he found out that Yi Chen had arrived in Marshall City, and immediately sent a message to Taoist Jin Huang. Taoist Jin Huang's gaze turned cold. He didn't expect that Yi Chen would be so eager to die, choosing to leave Windy Nation right after entering astral reaching realm. However, it was exactly what he wanted. If Yi Chen had stayed in Windy Nation, he wouldn't have been able to do anything. The owner of the sky-covering hand was not someone he could contend with. Even if he had the guts, he wouldn't dare to provoke the other party. The soul-chasing bird should have followed him. Yes, as long as the soul-chasing bird is here, even if that kid runs to the ends of the earth, he won't be able to escape from 6th Elder's pursuit. Taoist Jin Huang was ranked 6th among the core elders of Floating Mountain Sect. Therefore, everyone called him Elder Jin Huang or 6th Elder. Good, very good. This time, he won't be able to escape death. Taoist Jin Huang laughed loudly. The soul-chasing bird was a strange bird raised by Floating Mountain Sect. Although it was only the size of a palm, it had a speed of 1,000 meters per second. As long as it smelled one's aura, it would be able to sense one's existence within 100 li. With the soul-chasing bird following Yi Chen, the matter was already half done. The remaining half would be left to him. Thinking of this, Daoist Jin Huang felt extremely happy. Yi Chen was like a knot in his heart, a heart devil. If he didn't eliminate him, he would never be able to calm down and cultivate in seclusion. He was very clear that with Yi Chen's talent, given 3 to 5 years, he might truly become a threat to him. Therefore, he had to eliminate him as soon as possible. Fortunately, he wasn't far from his goal. Star Regional Lake, it was one of the top few super lakes in the True Spirit continent. Its surface area was even bigger than the Black Dragon Empire, the Ice Crystal Empire, and the Grey Mystery Nation combined. It extended all the way to the center of the Misty Snow region, bordering the Wavy Cloud region and the Thunder region. The Star Regional Lake had been an extremely mysterious place since the ancient times. There were a lot of forbidden places inside, some of which even Life and Death Realm warriors would not dare to underestimate. The Blood Demon battlefield was still within the South Rudra region. It was a small forbidden area at the edge of the Star Regional Lake. For clasping Yuan and astral reaching experts, the danger level was extremely high. Out of 3 people who entered, only 1 would be able to come out alive. Beneath the clouds, a streak of light streaked past. Daoist Jin Huang and I are irreconcilable. If he doesn't die, then I will. I don't want to go to the Wang family on the Snake Island, it will bring them a disaster. Let's go straight to the Blood Demon battlefield. Yi Chen originally wanted to go to the Snake Island and see what had happened to Wang's snake. But, he immediately gave up on this idea. Before taking care of Daoist Jin Huang, it would be best not to meet anyone, unless that person's background and power were powerful enough. Amidst the boundless sky and water, Yi Chen increased his speed to 70%, flying toward the Bloodstone Islands that were hundreds of thousands of li away. Why do I feel like I'm being followed? Ever since leaving the Martial City, Yi Chen had felt that something was wrong. As for what exactly was wrong, he didn't know. But, as time passed, this kind of suspicion grew deeper and deeper, lingering in his heart. Until now, he was sure that something had indeed happened to him. I'd like to see who's following me. Yi Chen suddenly turned around. The green lotus Shin Yuan inside his body burned fiercely, exploding his speed to the limit as he sprinted in the opposite direction. Within a moment, he had reached an astonishing distance of more than 1,000 meters, leaving a faint black trail in the void. After sprinting for dozens of li, Yi Chen released his soul power, spreading it out in a fan shape, covering the entire area in front of him. It's a bird. Within his soul power perception, a palm-sized bird that seemed to be made of black iron appeared in his mind. The bird seemed to be a bit surprised by his sudden turnaround and immediately flew in another direction like a black lightning bolt. Humph! Die! Yi Chen finally knew the reason. This black bird actually had the ability to follow his aura. It had been following him for dozens of li, which was a distance that he couldn't sense with his soul power. Fortunately, he suddenly had an idea. He suddenly turned around and increased his speed, shortening the distance. The Star Scar sword was unsheathed, and a circular sword chi sliced through the void. The sword chi's speed was much faster than the black bird's flying speed. In a few breaths' time, it had caught up to the bird. The powerful sword pressure turned the entire area into a vacuum world. Then, the sword chi flickered and heavily slashed out. Crack! The black bird's defense was not bad, but unfortunately, Yi Chen's attack was not something it could handle. Its feathers were shattered into pieces, and were cut in half. Several hundred li away, an astral-reaching expert's complexion changed greatly. What? The soul-chasing bird has fallen. Who killed it? Could it be Yi Chen? Impossible. He absolutely couldn't sense the soul-chasing bird's existence. Perhaps it was killed by a passing expert. Damn it. This kid's luck is too good. He was the breeder of the soul-chasing bird, so he had a subtle connection with it. Therefore, as soon as the bird was in danger, he immediately knew. This place is less than 10,000 li away from the Blood Demon battlefield. If I'm not wrong, this kid is definitely going there to try his luck. Although the Blood Demon battlefield is extremely dangerous, it's hard to say if he can come out alive. I'd better go back and inform Elder Jin Huang first. Clenching his teeth, this person turned around and rushed in the direction of Martial City. After killing the black bird, the uneasiness lingering in his heart completely disappeared. Yi Chen creased his brows. It's most likely Daoist Jin Huang's doing. Alright, I can't wait for him to appear in front of me. At that time, I can thoroughly kill him and put an end to my heart demon. Yi Chen was Daoist Jin Huang's heart demon, and Daoist Jin Huang was also Yi Chen's heart demon. If the two wanted to continue advancing, they had to kill each other. One of them had to leave this world. The blood demon battlefield is also my battlefield. Letting out a heavy breath, Yi Chen's gaze turned cold as he once again flew in the direction of the blood demon battlefield. Bloodstone Islands, formed by a total of 36 islands, the majority of which were faintly blood-colored rocks. Therefore, they were called Bloodstone Islands. Each of the islands had an ancient stone gate. Inside the gate was a blood-red whirlpool that was dozens of meters tall, emitting a soul-stirring aura. At this moment, numerous martial artists had gathered on each of the islands. Most of them were clasping Yuan realm martial artists, and astral-reaching realm experts only made up about 5%. At the same time, there were also many martial artists arriving from all directions, forming a dense black mass. His figure streaking across the horizon, Yi Chen landed on the third island. He raised his head and saw many people entering the blood-red whirlpool, disappearing without a trace. Chapter 331. The number of martial artists on the third island reached several hundred. Some were waiting for people, some were forming teams, and some had just come out of Blood Demon battlefield. They were narrating what had happened inside. Did you know? Mountain Splitter died in the second layer of Blood Demon battlefield. What? It can't be. Mountain Splitter is a late astral reaching expert. Although his Mountain Splitter palm is a high-rank Earth-grade palm art, the power of its mentality is extremely rare. Even peak late astral reaching experts don't dare to provoke him. How could he die in the second layer? How could this be fake? I saw a high-ranked blood demon pass through his body with my own eyes, taking away all of his blood chi. Then, the blood demon turned into a pile of human skin and fell to the ground. Fortunately, I reacted quickly and ran away. That was how I managed to get out of the second floor. 2 deaths and 1 life. This blood demon battlefield is worthy of being one of the minor forbidden zones. Even someone as powerful as Mountain Splitter died just like that. Sigh. Treasures are not that easy to obtain. One has to risk their life for it. In South Rudra region, astral reaching experts with mid-grade artifacts were few and far between. Everyone knew that mid-grade artifacts could be obtained in the blood demon battlefield, but those who were truly determined to enter were few and far between. After all, they only had 1 life. If they died, they would truly die. No matter how many treasures they had, what use would it be? Generally speaking, there were 3 kinds of people who dared to enter the blood demon battlefield. The first kind were those who possessed exceedingly high strength and didn't fear any environment. The second kind were those who were willing to take risks for the sake of increasing their strength. These kinds of people were few and far between. The last kind were those who dared to enter for the sake of vengeance. Seriously speaking, Yi Chen belonged to both the first and the second type. In terms of strength, apart from his slightly lacking cultivation base, he was at the peak in every aspect. All in all, his battle strength could be considered extremely powerful. Moreover, it could rise crazily at any time. In terms of mental quality, sword artists who comprehended sword intent always had a higher mental quality than other martial artists. Yi Chen was very clear that taking risks was necessary. Without experiencing 9 deaths and 1 life, the chances of stepping into life and death realm were minuscule. Life and death, these 2 words had too many meanings. The same teleportation whirlpool. Clasping Yuan martial artists would be teleported to the first layer of blood demon battlefield, while astral reaching experts would be teleported to the second layer. This should be differentiated by aura. I wonder where I would be teleported to. Swish! Taking a step forward, Yi Chen plunged into the blood-red vortex. Several 100,000 kilometers away from the blood demon battlefield. Soul-chasing bird is dead. Hearing his subordinates report, Daoist Jin Huang's expression turned ugly. A murderous aura filled his face, making him look hideous and terrifying. Cold sweat dripped down the forehead of the astral-reaching expert who raised the soul-chasing bird. He promptly said, "Sixth Elder, rest assured. When the soul-chasing bird died, that kid was less than 10,000 li away from the blood demon battlefield. This subordinate is 80% certain that he went there in search of treasures. The blood demon battlefield. Look for the treasure. In the hands of an astral-reaching expert, a low-grade artifact will be damaged after being used for a long time. Especially in a confrontation with an expert, the chances of a low-grade artifact being damaged are even higher. In this case, he must get a mid-grade artifact. Otherwise, a sword artist would lose their weapon, and their battle power would be greatly reduced by at least 30%. However, with a mid-grade artifact, not only would he not have to worry about his weapon being damaged, his attack power would also increase by 30 to 40%. This is an irresistible temptation. You've done well. Daoist Jin Huang's mood turned for the better. Letting out a sigh, the astral-reaching expert who raised the soul-chasing bird cautiously said, "Sixth Elder, there's no time to lose. Let's enter the blood demon battlefield together and kill him. That's natural. However, just in case, you guys assign people to guard the Bloodstone Islands. Elder Rock and I will go in." Daoist Jin Huang was afraid that he wouldn't be able to find Yi Chen after entering the blood demon battlefield, so he let him slip out. As for Elder Rock, he was his assistant and had a similar cultivation base as him. With him by his side, killing Yi Chen would be as easy as flipping his hand. Yes! A blood-red whirlpool suddenly appeared, and a blue silhouette shot out from within. Its sharp aura was like an unsheathed sword, cutting through the void. Fortunately, there's no danger. Yi Chen had heard more than once that some people, upon entering the blood demon battlefield, would be directly teleported to an area denser with blood demons. As soon as they appeared, they would be devoured cleanly by the blood demons. It was a tragic sight to behold. Therefore, when teleporting, he was already prepared to ignite his green lotus Xinyuan in an instant. With his feet firmly planted on the ground, Yi Chen looked around. This is the second layer of the blood demon battlefield. Blood-colored clouds, dark light, black and red mountain ranges, light red water, grass, trees, and the like. The boundless second layer of the blood demon battlefield was like an extremely desolate world. It was shrouded in a stifling atmosphere and indescribable panic. Xinyuan is being suppressed a bit. Circulating his Xinyuan, Yi Chen discovered that his originally flowing Xinyuan was a bit sluggish. This kind of sluggishness couldn't be discovered without careful observation. Only Yi Chen, who had a powerful soul power, could instantly discover that something was wrong. Others didn't notice anything at first. Yi Chen's brows slightly creased. Don't look down on this little bit of suppression. It might not have any effect on you at your peak, but once you're exhausted, this little bit of suppression would be like the last straw on a camel's back. It was enough to crush you. Seems like this world is indeed suitable for blood demons to live in. It won't be easy for human martial artists to survive here. Tightening the star scar sword on his waist, Yi Chen picked a direction and walked. He was currently in a mound. Walking out of the mound, he saw a black and red stone ridge. After walking a few steps, Yi Chen saw a dried-up human skin. An eerie aura lingered on it, as if a soul was crying. This is a good place. In this kind of eerie and frightening environment, my will would definitely be tempered. The stronger the will, the more powerful my sword intent would be. It would be inextinguishable. Turning a blind eye to his surroundings, Yi Chen straightened his back and walked forward step by step. Swish! A blood color suddenly seeped out from the rocks on the side. A blood light with distorted facial features darted out, sweeping towards Yi Chen who was right in front of it. Break! This was only a mid-rank blood demon, which was equivalent to a clasping Yuan realm martial artist. Yi Chen didn't take out his sword. Instead, he clenched his right hand into a fist and punched out with the 5-mountain condensing form. Pang! The air vibrated. The 5-mountain godly fist's momentum was extremely heavy. As the fist punched out, the air became sticky like water, restricting the speed of the mid-rank blood demon. It was immediately crushed into pieces by the fist power, exploding with a bang and filling the air with a blood mist. This blood demon is really strange. It doesn't have a concrete body, but it can hide inside rocks and other objects. Its aura concealing ability is quite high. After killing a mid-rank blood demon, Yi Chen didn't stop. His soul power spread out like a net, sensing the aura ripples of treasures. The stone ridge was huge, much bigger than ordinary large mountain ranges. After an hour, Yi Chen finally sensed a trace of treasure aura ripples. However, there were also astral reaching experts Jin Yuan ripples. The ripples were rather chaotic, probably due to an intense battle. Let's go take a look. Circulating green lotus Jin Yuan, Yi Chen instantly turned into a beam of light. His speed rapidly soared, soon reaching 2 times the speed of sound. In 10 blinks of an eye, Yi Chen landed on a low mountain peak. Looking down, he saw 2 astral reaching experts teaming up against a high-rank blood demon. Chi energies shot out in all directions, flattening the nearby rocks and earth. A man and a woman, a high-rank blood demon, and a mid-grade artifact beside it. Yi Chen thought of countless possibilities. One of them was that these 2 astral reaching experts had sensed the aura ripples of treasures and arrived here, only to be targeted by a high-rank blood demon. The man was at the peak of mid-astral reaching realm, while the woman was at mid-astral reaching realm. Moreover, this high-rank blood demon couldn't be considered a peak one. It couldn't do anything to them for the time being. Brother Liao, there's someone up there. The female astral reaching expert shot a glance at Yi Chen's location and said with a frown. The male astral reaching expert forced back the high-rank blood demon with a blade strike, then said, "Don't mind him. This high-rank blood demon is troublesome. Don't let it approach." The pressure on the 2 increased greatly. Those who chose to enter the blood demon battlefield weren't good people. Sometimes, the threat from human experts was even more frightening than high-rank blood demons. At least, everyone knew that high-rank blood demons were enemies, while human experts could turn friends into enemies in an instant. The number of human experts who had died at the hands of the 2 was not few. However, they couldn't free themselves at the moment. Swish! All of a sudden, the high-rank blood demon abandoned its fight with the 2 and shot in Yi Chen's direction. In its opinion, Yi Chen's Jin Yuan ripples were clearly weaker than the 2's. He should be easy to deal with. The man and the woman who picked up the mid-grade artifact exchanged a glance. They were husband and wife, and rarely had a falling out. They were no exception. At this moment, the 2 had the same thought. With Yi Chen's death, the storage ring would belong to them. They were well aware of how frightening high-rank blood demons were. On the low mountain peak, Yi Chen sneered. "Hee, it's been a long time since I've tasted the flesh and blood of human experts." The high-rank blood demon turned into a beam of crimson blood light and pierced forward. Its speed was much faster than a mid-astral reaching expert. When the 2 were 10 meters apart, Yi Chen's sword left its sheath. The blue sword light was engraved with a sky-opening lotus as it cleaved apart the high-rank blood demon. What? So powerful! Not only were the 2 startled, but the high-rank blood demon was even more astonished. Its 2 halves quickly wriggled, continuing to attack Yi Chen from the left and right. Chi, countless sword lights crisscrossed, forming a sword net. The moment the blood demon's 2 blood lights came into contact, they were shattered into pieces. Their intelligence scattered and they quickly disappeared. Not good. Run. This person is an expert. The man pulled the woman's hand and fled into the distance, fearing that Yi Chen would catch up and kill them. Yi Chen faintly smiled. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't kill. He could understand the two's actions. In the blood demon battlefield, everyone was extremely vigilant. Those who weren't vigilant had long since become nourishment for the blood demons. Chapter 332. It had been 2 days since Yi Chen arrived at the second floor of the blood demon battlefield. He had killed more than 30 mid-grade blood demons and 7 high-grade blood demons. Among them, there was a very powerful high-grade blood demon, roughly equivalent to a human late astral reaching expert, not much weaker than corpse man. Moreover, blood demons were different from humans. The higher their rank, the harder they were to kill. Even if one were to cut them into 7 or 8 pieces, they wouldn't die. Only by thoroughly scattering the blood demon would it be considered a true kill. Therefore, in situations of equal strength, it was usually the blood demons that killed the human powerhouses. The cases of human powerhouses killing blood demons were far too rare. The terror of the blood demon battlefield could only be understood by entering it personally. In these 2 days, I've obtained 3 low-grade artifacts, and not a single mid-grade artifact. Seems like finding a mid-grade artifact won't be that easy. Even if I find one, it might not suit me, and I can only sell it. Yi Chen flew in the sky neither too fast nor too slow. Having cultivated the restraining chi art, he wasn't too worried about becoming the target of the crowd. Of course, the restraining chi art's grade was too low at the astral reaching realm. It was still somewhat lacking compared to high-grade blood demons. Not far ahead, Yi Chen saw an ancient stone gate. A blood-red whirlpool slowly revolved within the gate, appearing especially eye-catching against the black-red mountain rocks. Blood demon battlefield is said to have several hundred conveyor gates. This is my first time seeing one. Entering the blood demon battlefield from the outside, one would sometimes appear out of thin air, and sometimes one would appear through these gates. There was no pattern to it. Yi Chen had appeared out of thin air in the second floor. Flying over the gate, Yi Chen continued to search for mid-grade artifacts. Buzz! Not long after Yi Chen left, the blood-red whirlpool inside the gate sped up, and a human figure instantly shot out. He was wearing a black robe, and his complexion was pale and devoid of blood. No matter how one looked at it, it didn't seem to be his face at all. Jia, for human powerhouses, blood demons are very frightening. I, corpse man, have corpse blood on my body, which is simply not to the taste of blood demons. The man sneered as he took out a ghost face mask from his storage ring and put it on. Who else could it be but the ghost man? A blood-red color suddenly appeared on the ground near the stone door. As the blood-red light flashed, a mid-level blood demon jumped towards the corpse man. However, on the way, this mid-grade blood demon did not sense any chi and blood vibration from the corpse man. Therefore, it immediately stopped and wanted to retreat. Where are you going? Like a giant grasshopper, the corpse man leaped and appeared in front of the mid-grade blood devil, reaching out with his eagle-like claw. A shocking scene happened. The mid-grade blood devil, who had always been devouring other people's blood, soon shriveled up. It was devoured completely by the corpse man, leaving nothing behind. It is indeed a great tonic. The thicker the corpse blood, the stronger my recovery ability. The corpse man waved his left arm, which had been cut off by Yi Chen, and laughed proudly. There was no day or night in the blood demon battlefield. Only by relying on the hourglass in his storage ring could Yi Chen know how much time had passed. A day later, Yi Chen arrived at the center of the rocky ridge. A mid-grade artifact's aura vibration. A mid-grade artifact could amplify an astral reaching expert's attack power by 30 to 40%. The power contained within was enormous, and the aura vibration it emitted was naturally enormous as well. Generally speaking, if there was no one controlling it, the vibration produced by a mid-grade artifact could spread over 100 li. Of course, only astral reaching experts could sense it from 100 li away. Clasping yuan experts would need to be 10 li away to sense it. Yi Chen's soul power was exceptionally powerful. He could sense this vibration from 100 li away. Swish! circulating his Jin Yuan to the limit, Yi Chen shot towards the source of the vibration. Regardless of whether it was a mid-grade artifact or not, Yi Chen would not give up on a mid-grade artifact. After all, even the worst mid-grade artifact could be sold for 30,000 mid-grade spirit stones, which was an astonishing fortune for astral-reaching experts. Moreover, this mid-grade artifact didn't have any activity nearby, so it should be an ownerless object. Under Yi Chen's full speed, the 100-li distance only took 50 blinks of an eye. Over there. Relying on his soul power, Yi Chen immediately sensed two mid-grade artifacts lying in the pit ahead. One was an axe, and the other was an inner armor. Two mid-grade artifacts. I can use one of them as well. Yi Chen revealed a smile. He could sell the axe and keep the inner armor for his own use. A mid-grade offensive artifact was important, but a mid-grade defensive artifact was even more important. An ordinary mid-grade defensive artifact could amplify defense by 30%, a high-grade one could amplify up to 35%, and a peak one could amplify up to 40%. Yi Chen was sure that with this mid-grade defensive artifact, his protective Jin Yuan's defensive power would be comparable to a late astral reaching expert's. And, defense had always been Yi Chen's weakness. This is mine. The skilled were bold. Yi Chen wasn't afraid of the dangers waiting for him next to the pit. His figure flickered, flying straight over. Jia Jia, another one has come to die. In the pit, a blood shadow appeared. It was a high-grade blood demon. This high-grade blood demon was extremely confident. He didn't conceal his aura at all, letting his berserk and savage aura spread out, enveloping several hundred meters. He raised his head and cruelly looked at Yi Chen, as if the latter was already his tonic. What a powerful high-grade blood demon! Yi Chen sensed that this high-grade blood demon was a bit more powerful than the one he had killed. It was more or less equivalent to a peak late astral reaching expert. As for blood demons using artifacts to attract human experts, this wasn't the first time Yi Chen had encountered one. Before reaching the rank of blood demon general, blood demons generally didn't use weapons. They themselves were frightening weapons. Their bodies would transform into a bloody light, and with a sweep, human experts of the same level wouldn't even have the leeway to resist. Their blood and chi would be devoured cleanly. Burn for me. Yi Chen sneered. Since he wasn't afraid of an ambush, he naturally had his own confidence. Burning fiercely with green lotus Jin Yuan, Yi Chen turned into a human-shaped pillar of fire and shot toward the blood demon. Great! Your blood and chi are even more vigorous than late astral reaching experts. You must have cultivated a body refining technique. After devouring your blood and chi, I might be able to reach the limits of high-grade blood demons and have the opportunity to attack the rank of blood demon general. The high-grade blood demon licked its lips. As soon as Yi Chen ignited his Jin Yuan, his blood and chi boiled, surging with essence chi. I'm afraid you won't be able to devour my blood and chi, and you'll pay for it yourself. Yi Chen's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived within 100 meters of the blood demon. Green lotus sky. As the sword slashed out, the air froze. Sharp streams of chi formed into green lotuses, enveloping the blood demon within. A strange sword move, but it's useless against me. Break! The blood demon roared and punched out. A river of bloody light rushed out, shattering the deathly stillness of the air. Kacha! The ground cracked as the high-grade blood demon's eyes shone with an evil light. It raised its hand and lightly patted the void. Rumble! The air surged like boiling water, and a corrosive power erupted toward Yi Chen like a volcano, faintly taking the shape of a bloody head. Formidable! This high-grade blood demon has many attacking methods. Ordinary high-grade blood demons simply can't compare to it. Yi Chen didn't dare to be negligent. He raised the Star Scar sword in front of his chest, and a several meters long green lotus appeared on the blade, protecting his whole body. Puchi! The green lotus, which had an extremely high defense, was corroded by more than half. Not bad. You can actually block my ace move. Let's see how you block it this time. The high-grade blood demon clasped his hands and suddenly pulled them apart. A half-moon-shaped bloody light arc appeared in front of his chest. The bloody light arc flickered incessantly, emitting a vigorous aura that dyed the air blood red. Go! Accumulating power in his palm, he patted the bloody light arc. Under the high-grade blood demon's urging, the bloody light arc flickered as if it had teleported and strangely chopped toward Yi Chen's head. Why bother blocking? Just break it. Raising his left index finger, Yi Chen pointed at the bloody light arc Puchi. The deep green sword chi shot out like a waterfall and circled around the bloody light arc. The bloody light arc was split into two, and its power was greatly reduced. Destroy! Retracting his finger, Yi Chen punched at the broken bloody light arc. With a ping sound, the bloody light arc exploded. How is this possible? Not only can he release sword chi from his body, but his power is also so powerful. The high-grade blood demon's pupils shrank, feeling greatly surprised and troubled. Green Lotus Splitting Mountain. After destroying the bloody light arc with his left hand, Yi Chen's right hand did not remain idle. Holding the Star Scar sword, he slashed out a sword light imprinted with the sky-opening green lotus. The sword light was frightening and arrived in an instant. The high-grade blood demon no longer had the attitude of controlling the whole situation. He hurriedly condensed a bloody skull-like shield in front of his body. The sound of something breaking was heard as the sword light forcefully broke through the skull-shaped shield. In the Green Lotus sword art, the power of the Green Lotus Mountain was the strongest out of the 3 ace attacks. It was only second to the last half of the 7th ace attack, the Green Lotus accumulation. Combined with the 90% sword intent, it was almost indestructible. The sword light broke through the shield and slashed through the high-grade blood demon's chest. Damn it! I wasted 2 mid-grade artifacts for nothing. The high-grade blood demon knew that he was not Yi Chen's opponent, so he turned into a bloody light and drilled into the ground. Yi Chen sneered. His soul power seeped into the ground and quickly found the high-grade blood demon's traces. Then, he slashed down with another Green Lotus Splitting Mountain. Rumble. The ground split open like a canyon, revealing the pitch-black depths. The sword light, which had expanded to several hundred meters in length, smashed down with an unstoppable momentum, shattering the continuously fleeing high-grade blood demon. Ah! The high-grade blood demon's miserable shriek before its death resounded from the depths of the ground. It was mournful and frightening. After killing the high-grade blood demon, Yi Chen's gaze fell on the 2 mid-grade artifacts in the crater. His palm pulled them over. The axe was 1 meter long, and the handle was dark cyan in color, carved with patterns. The edge of the axe had a faint ring of white light. When his fingers touched the white light, he felt a stabbing pain. It was not hard to imagine what kind of might an astral-reaching expert would have when chopping down at an enemy with this axe. Putting away the axe, Yi Chen looked at the inner armor. The hardness of the armor was moderate, and its edges were carved with some fine patterns. On the pattern's lines, thin streams of light shuttled back and forth like a Jinyuan map. The chest of the armor was a bit thicker, but it was enough to resist a large degree of damage. Chapter 333. And in an inconspicuous corner of the armor, there were 4 small ancient characters, Streamlight Armor. The Streamlight Armor is merely a defensive artifact. Logically speaking, its aura should be inferior to an offensive artifact, and not so ostentatious. However, in comparison, the offensive artifact's aura is inferior to the Streamlight Armor. It's at least a high-grade mid-grade defensive artifact, and it might even be a peak mid-grade defensive artifact. Defensive artifacts of the same grade also had a difference in quality. If this Streamlight Armor were to be sold, it would definitely be worth close to 40,000 mid-grade spirit stones, while the axe would be worth 35,000 mid-grade spirit stones at most. Let's clear out the Jinyuan inside first. The Streamlight Armor had already been used by someone, and the Jinyuan of that person remained inside, fusing with the armor's energy. If he wanted to use it properly, he would have to clear out the other party's Jinyuan. Of course, if he didn't clear it now, it would be cleared out in the future. It would just waste some time. The green lotus Xin Yuan poured into the streamlight armor through Yi Chen's palm. The armor glowed with a cyan radiance, with a faint yellow radiance. The yellow radiance faded bit by bit, and was eventually submerged by the cyan radiance. Done! Sensing that there was no other Xin Yuan aura on the streamlight armor, Yi Chen's Xin Yuan shook, and the stains on the armor's surface automatically disintegrated, leaving not a single speck of dust on it. Only then did Yi Chen take off his outer blue clothes and put on the streamlight armor. The size was just right. Buzz! The protective Xin Yuan spread out, and the air vibrated. So powerful! It amplified my defense by about 37%. Although Yi Chen was a peak early astral reaching expert, his green lotus sword arts had already been cultivated to the 13th layer, and his Xin Yuan was incomparably pure. It was equivalent to the defense of a peak mid-astral reaching expert. Now, with the amplification of the streamlight armor, his protective Xin Yuan had crossed a step, reaching the level of late astral reaching expert. Once my defense is up, my battle power will reach a whole new level. I'm very close to the level of the top 10 astral reaching realm sword artists. There were 3 basic factors that reflected the battling power: attack, defense, and speed. Yi Chen had rated himself as excellent attack, high defense, and high speed. High was the level of late astral reaching realm, while excellent was the level of peak level late astral reaching realm. Above excellent was the level of super, which was the level of top astral reaching realm warriors. For example, the Sword Elder's attack was at the super level. As for his defense and speed, they should be excellent, since the attack of sword artists had always been more powerful than their defense and speed. Of course, this was under normal circumstances. If he used the minor blood demon body separating great art, Yi Chen's score would be even higher. His attack should be close to superior grade, his defense close to superior grade, and his speed close to superior grade. He would only be a few steps away from peak astral reaching experts. Unfortunately, as his cultivation increased, the effect of the minor blood demon body separating great art would decrease as well. Right now, it could only increase his battle power a bit. Once he reached mid-astral reaching realm, it would not have any effect at all. On the 4th day after Yi Chen entered the blood demon battlefield, a group of uninvited guests arrived at the Bloodstone Islands. Split into groups of 5 and stand guard on each of the islands. Once he comes out, immediately use the soul-chasing bird to follow him. Daoist Jin Huang could have arrived 2 days earlier, but in order to gather his men, he had to wait another 2 days. In order to kill Yi Chen, he had gone through a lot of trouble. Yes! Everyone listened to the order. Nodding his head in satisfaction, Daoist Jin Huang said to the Rock Elder, "Old Rock, let's go in together. As long as that kid is still inside, there is an 80 to 90% chance that he will be able to reach the anti-demon fortress. This is our chance." The Rock Elder, who was about the same age as Daoist Jin Huang, sneered when he heard this. There are a total of 3 anti-demon fortresses in the 2nd layer of the blood demon battlefield. If we have enough time, finding him won't be a problem. Our understanding of the blood demon battlefield is not something that ordinary people can compare with. He's courting death. Of all places, he just had to run into the blood demon battlefield. Alright, let's go in. Whoosh! Daoist Jin Huang took the lead to rush into the blood-red vortex, and the Rock Elder followed closely behind. Ah! The closer they got to the center of the rocky ridge, the more frequently blood demons appeared. Yi Chen had seen blood demons devouring the flesh and blood of human powerhouses more than once. Facing this kind of situation, he would choose to ignore it and continue his journey of treasure hunting. If he encountered a blood demon that did not have eyes, he would kill it with a single sword strike. There was a flat peak at the center of the rocky ridge, and an extremely huge metal fortress was situated on the peak. From the outside, the metal fortress had a total of 4 layers. The lowest layer had the most windows, one right next to the other. The 2nd layer had the second most windows, and there was a certain distance between them. The 3rd layer only had 100 windows, and there were independent balconies. The fourth layer could be said to be luxurious. The independent balconies were incomparably huge, and it was quite imposing. However, there were less than 10 of them. The metal fortress was enveloped by a layer of milky white light. From time to time, humans would escape into the light cover, and the blood demons that were chasing after them would all be blocked outside the milky white light cover, returning without any success. Come and kill me. After entering the light cover, the previously battered and exhausted human powerhouses stopped running. They turned around and burst into laughter, wantonly teasing the blood demons. The blood demon grimaced in pain. However, this light cover was not something that it could break. In fact, even thousands of blood demons would not be able to break this light cover. Humph, my brother died in your hands. Sooner or later, I will take revenge. The blood demons could not do anything to him, and he could not do anything to the blood demons either. Inside the light cover, he could not attack anything outside. After cursing for a while, he turned around and walked towards the gate of the fortress. Interesting. The second layer of the blood demon battlefield actually has this kind of metal fortress to protect human powerhouses. It is quite humane. Yi Chen was very clear about the cruelty of the blood demon battlefield. Human powerhouses were, after all, outsiders, and were suppressed by the heaven and earth. On the other hand, the blood demons appeared and disappeared mysteriously, and were impossible to guard against. One was in the open, while the other was in the dark. Human powerhouses had a lot of casualties. As for the conveyor gates, there were only a few hundred of them, and their distribution was irregular. Moreover, near the conveyor gates, there were usually blood demons lying in ambush, which made it even more dangerous. Even if one were to teleport out, if one wanted to come back again in the future, it would be very likely that one would be teleported to a dangerous place. However, with the metal fortress, it would be different. One could go in and rest for a while, and comprehend the experience gained from the bloody battles. With this fortress, staying in the blood demon battlefield for a year and a half wouldn't be a problem. It is a place to nurture one through battles. Yi Chen took a step forward and flew towards the metal fortress. Swish! At least a few blood lights swept towards Yi Chen. Die! Green Lotus Chi Transformation. With a wave of the Star Scar sword, the illusory green lotus flickered, and dozens of sword chi shot out, tearing apart the bodies of the attacking blood demons. What a powerful human powerhouse! A high-rank blood demon stopped its momentum and let Yi Chen pass. The milky white light cover didn't repel humans. The moment Yi Chen passed through the light cover, he felt like he was being bathed in sunlight, feeling very warm. Swish! Landing on the ground, Yi Chen walked straight towards the fortress's gate. Outside the gate, a charming young woman saw Yi Chen. Her eyes brightened as she greeted him. Sir, you look unfamiliar. Is this your first time coming to the Demon Defiance Fortress? Demon Defiance Fortress. Good name. Yi Chen nodded. Yes. Are you the host of the Demon Defiance Fortress? He felt a bit strange. No, the Demon Defiance Fortress doesn't have a host. It doesn't belong to any power or individual. The young woman shook her head. Then why do you want to host me? The young woman forced a smile. Sir, to be honest, I don't have any food left. I wonder if you can give me some food. I'm willing to exchange it with spirit stones. Exchanging spirit stones for food? Yi Chen was a bit flabbergasted. Outside, a low-rank spirit stone was worth more than 2,000 silvers, and 2,000 silvers could buy a lot of food. Even if it was good food, it could still be put on the table. Could it be that she hadn't gone out for a long time? No, she couldn't go out. If that was the case, it would explain why she was exchanging spirit stones for food. That's right. 10 mid-rank spirit stones for 100 jean of rice and some dried meat. How about it? The young woman's face was full of expectation. Astral reaching experts also needed to eat. In fact, although astral reaching experts would go into seclusion for a few months, they still needed to eat during that time. Moreover, their appetite was 10 times bigger than ordinary people's. Only by reaching the Sea of Soul realm would one be able to get rid of the problem of food. At this moment, Yi Chen was still pondering. The blood demon battlefield was extremely dangerous, and it was very possible that one wouldn't be able to come out. Especially outside the fortress, there were a lot of powerful blood demons lying in ambush. The moment he entered, he had already suffered several attacks. If it were someone with a slightly weaker strength, they would have died immediately. Only powerful late astral reaching experts could come and go as they pleased. However, even late astral reaching experts couldn't guarantee their safety. If they encountered a peak high-rank blood demon, they would also have a hard time escaping. Thinking of this, Yi Chen touched his back. There was a withered patch of skin there, caused by being besieged by several powerful high-rank blood demons. Although he had swallowed the blood sunflower, the blood demons not only devoured qi and blood, but also flesh and blood. It would take a while for him to recover. Fortunately, he now had the streamlight armor, which was somewhat of a guarantee. "Young master, have pity on me. I've stayed in the Demon Defiance Fortress for 2 years. It's not that I haven't thought of leaving, but those blood demons are extremely cunning. They've set up a lot of ambushes outside. Many people who go out die immediately. Only powerful late astral reaching experts have a glimmer of hope. And, in these 2 years, I've used up all my spirit stones in order to exchange for food." The young woman looked very pitiful. Coming back to his senses, Yi Chen took out a bag of rice and a bag of dried meat from his storage ring and threw them to her. "I don't need your spirit stones, but you have to tell me about the Demon Defiance Fortress." Yi Chen had a funny thought. There must be a lot of astral reaching experts like the young woman in the fortress. If he could get some food and sell it, he should be able to make a lot of spirit stones. After all, he had a lot of storage rings on him, including a mid-grade one. Of course, this thought only flashed through his mind. The blood demon battlefield was also very dangerous for him. Not to mention that he didn't have enough strength. Even if he did, he wouldn't do such a thing. He wasn't selling food, so it would be shameful. Then, he thought of another problem. This blood demon battlefield was definitely a trap. 2 out of 10 chances of survival was only an optimistic thought. Those who were lucky enough to get out through the conveyor gate would be fine, but those who didn't find the conveyor gate and arrived at the fortress would be trapped here for a long time. "Good, good. Many thanks, young master." The young woman hurriedly put away the food and nodded happily. Chapter 334. The interior of the anti-demon fortress was very spacious. It was not that the first floor was big. In fact, the anti-demon fortress was hollow. Standing in the center of the bottom, one could see the second floor, the third floor, and the highest 4 floors. The edge of the corridor on each floor was surrounded by metal railings, so a huge cylinder could fill the interior of the anti-demon fortress. Speaking of the demon resistance fortress, I have to tell you about the origin of the blood demon battlefield. In fact, the blood demon battlefield is a space that was torn apart by someone. It has existed for a very long time, dating back to the ancient era. Walking on the metal floor, the young lady explained to Yi Chen. Yi Chen was astonished. A space that was torn apart by someone? As far as he knew, only life and death kings could tear apart space. Not to mention ordinary life and death kings, even Su King would not be able to do it. No, the disparity was not that big. Even 100 Su Kings would not be able to do it. This was already beyond the realm of life and death. It should be known that the blood demon battlefield was not smaller than a mid-sized country. One could destroy it, but it would be impossible to tear it out of its original space. What was certain was that the ancient era was very different from the world after the ancient era. At least, the level of the experts was different. In the ancient era, life and death kings could be found everywhere. However, after the ancient era, true spirit continent was ruled by life and death kings. It was impossible for existences beyond life and death realm to exist. The young lady continued, and these demon resistance fortresses were built from that time. They are the basis for humans to fight against the blood demons. As for the light barrier outside the fortress, it is a life and death realm light barrier. Using it to defend against high-grade blood demons is a waste of resources. There is no need to worry about it breaking, and there is no need to worry about the energy supply. It seems to be able to absorb energy automatically, and has never weakened. Life and death realm light barrier. Truly extravagant. Yichen clicked his tongue inwardly. If this light cover covered the sky above the Sky Cloud Martial School and the Yi family, no one below the life and death realm would be able to enter. Even normal life and death realm warriors might not be able to break through it. It would undoubtedly be an unimaginable safety guarantee. Of course, this was just a thought. Who would be able to move the light cover or the fortress to the outside world? The young lady pointed at the rooms on the first floor and said, "The demon-defying fortress allocates the rooms according to the strength. The weakest ones can only stay on the first floor, which is usually for early astral-reaching realm warriors. The second floor is for mid-astral-reaching realm warriors, and the third floor is for late astral-reaching realm warriors. The fourth floor is for peak astral-reaching realm warriors. However, there are 3 demon-defying fortresses in total, so there might not be that many astral-reaching realm warriors. Therefore, a lot of the rooms are empty." Yichen asked, "The rooms are allocated based on strength. Do you decide it yourself?" The young woman smiled, "If you think you're strong enough to go to the second floor, then you can go. It's just that if you're really strong, then it's fine. If you're not, then you'll be blasted down and lose all face. So, in most cases, no one dares to try to climb up. This is interesting." Yichen rubbed his chin, thinking that it would not be a problem for him to stay on the third floor, unless the people on the third floor did not put Corpse Man and Jin Huang in their eyes. But, the fourth floor. It was a bit of a stretch. The Sword Elder was qualified enough to stay there. Boom! Just as the young woman was explaining some things about the fortress to Yichen, a person suddenly fell down from the third floor, landing heavily on the ground. "Ha! You're not strong enough, yet you still want to stay on the third floor. You're looking for death." Next to the railing of the third floor, a middle-aged man with a beard said with a cold expression. "Pooh!" The man puked out a mouthful of blood after landing on the metal floor. He stood up and ran away with a red face. "I forgot to tell you." The young woman suddenly said, "The rooms in the fortress have the effect of speeding up training. The first floor is the weakest, and the fourth floor is the most powerful. Therefore, the powerful warriors living on the second floor and above do not allow anyone to go over. If they do, they might be blasted down, or even killed. Fortunately, everyone is quite well behaved in the fortress, and killing is rare. After all, if it causes public anger, even powerful astral-reaching realm warriors could be killed. It's not like it hasn't happened before." Yichen nodded. Although his battling power was quite powerful, if there were dozens of mid-astral-reaching realm warriors attacking him, his life would still be in danger. "Alright, thank you for telling me these things. I'm going to find a room to rest." Now that he had learned everything he needed to know, Yichen planned to rest for a while to recover his condition and body. The young woman laughed, "I'm staying in room 96 on the first floor. The room next to mine is empty. Why don't you stay here?" "Oh right, my name is Su Lan." "I wonder what your name is?" In Su Lan's opinion, Yichen's Xin Yuan vibration was only at the peak level of early astral reaching realm, so he could only stay on the first floor. "Yichen, I'm planning to go upstairs." Yichen pointed at the third floor. Su Lan did not see it clearly, so she thought Yichen was pointing at the second floor. She frowned. "Although the training effect of the rooms on the second floor is quite good, what about you?" Normally, a peak-level early astral-reaching realm warrior would have a hard time winning against a mid-astral-reaching realm warrior, since there would be a huge difference in both quantity and quality of Jin Yuan. Yichen did not explain anything as he started to walk towards the stairs. "Ah! Be careful." Su Lan shook her head as she thought to herself, I am still too young after all. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. The higher the rank, the lower the possibility of a cross-realm battle. When she had reached the peak level early astral reaching realm, it was not that she did not want to go to the second floor, but she was still kicked out in the end. On the second floor, some of the mid-astral reaching realm warriors saw Yi Chen and were a bit surprised. However, they did not do anything too extreme, since a peak-level early astral reaching realm warrior had beaten a mid-astral reaching realm warrior before. Before understanding Yi Chen's true power, no one would dare to make any reckless moves. After a while, they would know whether he was a worm or a dragon. However, what shocked them was that Yi Chen did not stop at the second floor, but continued to walk towards the third floor. Is he crazy? The third floor is the place where late astral reaching realm warriors live. Even I would not dare to go up there. He is only a peak level early astral reaching realm warrior. He would be thrown out the moment he goes up. There would be no mercy at all. Perhaps he does not know the rules of the Demon Defiance Fort. Weren't we thrown out when we first came here? Hee, let him suffer a bit. The warriors on the second floor were all waiting to see a joke. On the first floor, a lot of people were shocked, including Su Lan, who had not left yet. Her mouth was wide open as she forced a smile inwardly. I have said so much. Did he not listen to me at all? Or did he have some kind of confidence? Everything in the fort was made of metal. Walking on it made a crisp metallic sound. He had arrived at the third floor. Yi Chen stopped and looked around. If there are people living in the room, the gems on the door will shine. If the gems don't shine, it means there is no one living in it. Yeah, there is an empty room here. Under everyone's gaze, Yi Chen walked towards the number 12 room on the third floor. Brat, who allowed you to come up here? The middle-aged man with sideburns stood in front of the door. He crossed his arms in front of his chest, looking at Yi Chen coldly. Yi Chen was not afraid of his aura at all. Isn't the rule of the Demon Defiance Fort that you can choose your room according to your power? I am powerful enough to live on the third floor. You are powerful enough to live on the third floor? The bearded man seemed to have heard something funny, so he laughed out loud. His white teeth shone with a cold light. I will give you one chance. Piss off, otherwise, I will throw you down myself. Oh yeah. Make sure again. Yi Chen's voice turned cold. His green lotus Shen Yuan exploded violently, along with his almost completed sword intent. The surreal air started to shake. Pap! 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 The bearded man took 3 steps back. Yi Chen's green lotus Shen Yuan was of a high quality, but it was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that the latter's sword intent made him feel like he was suffocating. It was definitely more than 90% sword intent. No, it was close to completion. It was not that he had never encountered top astral reaching realm sword artists, such as the Blood Sword Artist, who was an extremely powerful existence. However, the latter's sword intent was still not as powerful as the former's. If the latter's sword intent gave him the feeling of a surging tide, then Yi Chen's sword intent gave him the feeling of a stormy sea, which made it hard for him to breathe. Do I have the right? Yi Chen looked at him coldly. The bearded man let out a heavy breath. Yes, I have. All right then. Yi Chen was not the kind of person who would look for trouble. He did not want to do anything to the bearded man, so he brushed past him and entered the number 12 room. Scary young generation. Scary sword artist. Waiting until Yi Chen disappeared from his sight, the bearded man wiped off the cold sweat on his forehead. Just for a second, he felt like he was about to die. Fortunately, he did not do anything too extreme. Otherwise, he would not be sure if the latter would kill him or not. None of the people who entered the Blood Demon battlefield were kind-hearted. This is the sword intent. It even scared a late astral reaching realm warrior. Su Lan's face was full of disbelief. In the beginning, she thought that Yi Chen was only a lucky young man who had not been devoured by the Blood Demon and managed to make it to the fort alive. She did not expect that she would be completely wrong. Yi Chen was not a normal young man at all. The power he contained was way beyond her expectation. Perhaps he has the power to leave the blood demon battlefield. Let's wait and see. Su Lan was excited as she thought to herself. Where did this young sword artist come from? How come I have never heard of him? This sword intent is even scarier than the top astral reaching realm sword artists. Yeah! We were all wrong. If he had a higher cultivation, it would not be impossible for him to enter the 4th floor. Everyone who had noticed this scene began to discuss among themselves. Closing the door, Yi Chen looked around and found that the rooms on the 3rd floor were quite spacious. They were well equipped, and there was even an independent training room. Arriving in front of the balcony, Yi Chen could see the scene outside the fort from where he stood. A lot of human warriors were entering and exiting, battling with the blood demons. Power is everything. I can see it everywhere. The blood demon battlefield is a good place. I will train until I reach the mid-astral reaching realm. After training in the top-ranked training room for a month, Yi Chen's Jin Yuan had already accumulated to the limit. He was only missing an opportunity to make a breakthrough. He believed that as long as the pressure was high enough, it would not be too hard to make a breakthrough. But, if there was no pressure, then he would have to follow suit. Chapter 335. The training rooms on the 3rd floor had a very good effect, almost as good as the training rooms in the martial city. According to his estimation, the training rooms on the 3rd floor would be equivalent to the high-ranked training rooms in the martial city, and the 4th floor would be the top-rank ones. The only difference was that the training rooms in the martial city could increase the training speed because of the existence of the Earth Evulsion fire. However, the training rooms in the Demon Defiance Fortress were filled with a milky white light, which was very similar to the light cover of the fortress, giving people a warm feeling of being bathed in sunlight. Swish! Yi Chen sat on the ground with his upper body bare. The dried flesh on his back gradually swelled up, and a scarlet gas was released, which was then extinguished by the milky white light. The blood poison has finally been forced out. Slowly letting out a breath filled with the smell of blood, Yi Chen opened his eyes as sweat appeared on his forehead. The scariness of the blood demon battlefield was still beyond Yi Chen's expectations. The day before he obtained the 2 mid-grade artifacts, he had been attacked by 3 high-rank blood demons and dozens of mid-rank blood demons. The situation at that time was extremely dangerous, and the 9 green lotus sword chi in his body had been completely used up during the intense battle. Fortunately, his sword intent had the effect of killing the spirit. High-rank blood demon spirit was originally rather chaotic, and could not compare to human experts at the same level. This was why Yi Chen had been able to kill them in one fell swoop. However, it was impossible for him to be completely unscathed. His back had been grazed by a high-rank blood demon, which had taken away a lot of blood and flesh. My battle power is still not enough to run amok in the blood demon battlefield. Although I have the streamlight armor, which has increased my defense a lot, once I encounter a peak high-rank blood demon, only my sword intent can be relied on. The sword intent had helped Yi Chen too much. Without it, Yi Chen would only be a top-grade martial genius, and there were at least 80 top-grade martial geniuses in the whole South Rudra region. Training and seclusion alone is not enough to increase my cultivation in a short period of time. I still need to fight bloody battles, and I need a frightening pressure. When my spirit is suppressed to the limit, it is not impossible for me to break through to the mid-astral reaching realm. Right now, Yi Chen had a basic understanding of what kind of life one had to go through in order to become a life and death realm warrior. It was like a steel wire that had to be stretched to its limit, yet not broken. Ordinary people would not be able to understand the feeling of being on the verge of death. I don't want to be mediocre, so let's challenge it. The muscles on his slender body bulged, and Yi Chen's eyes were sharp and cold. There's only one last anti-demon fortress left. The Rock Elder looked slightly exhausted. Before they came here, they had made a lot of preparations. For example, The mid-grade artifact armor they were wearing was borrowed from an inner court elder of the Floating Mountain sect. The thunder saber in their hands had the effect of restraining the blood devils. But even so, it was still very strenuous for them to fight all the way here. The Blood Devil battlefield was not a place where they could come and go as they pleased. Daoist Jin Huang said gloomily, "He must be in the third demon resistance fortress. Find him and make him suffer the pain of 1,000 cuts." The Rock Elder said with a sinister smile, "That's too easy on him. Wouldn't it be better to cripple him and throw him outside to be devoured by the blood demons?" "Hee, that's not a bad idea. The #1 martial genius of the South Rudra region being devoured by the blood demons. Nothing could be more interesting than this. Unfortunately, the one he offended was our Floating Mountain sect. Otherwise, he would definitely shine in the near future. What's there to be sad about? The South Rudra region only needs one Sikongsheng, not another Yichen. From the moment he defeated Sikongsheng, this was already the end of it. You want to go out?" Su Lan saw that Yi Chen was about to walk out of the fortress, so she said with surprise. Yi Chen nodded, "I'll just walk around the fortress. I can't just do nothing." "Actually, you can do it too." In the past few days, Yi Chen rarely saw people going out to challenge. They all stayed in the fortress to train in seclusion. Although training could increase one's power steadily, it would be extremely hard to make a big breakthrough in this lifetime. Of course, his original intention was not to send them to their deaths. He only hoped that they would have a bit of drive. Without drive, they would lose the spirit to advance bravely, which was a huge taboo for warriors. "I think I'll pass. I'll wait until I reach mid-astral reaching realm." Su Lan shook her head. The fortress was surrounded by layers of ambushes. Without reaching mid-astral reaching realm, one would be devoured by the blood demons the moment they went out. "Alright then, goodbye." Activating his Jin Yuan, Yi Chen flashed his body through the milky white light cover. Hee. Another one to die. Eat him. He's mine. Once he got out of the light cover, Yi Chen's eyes were filled with blood. Demons were dancing in the air. It was a scene of mountains of corpses and oceans of blood in hell. Green Lotus Chi. Yi Chen didn't back out. He took out his Star Scar sword and waved it in front of him. All of a sudden, a huge green lotus appeared in the air. Hundreds of sword chi shot out in all directions. The three basic sword movements of the Green Lotus sword arts had been developed to the extreme by him, and their power was even more powerful than before. Pooh! 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 Like a hedgehog, Yi Chen tightened his body and shot out his spikes. Large amounts of blood demons were pierced by the sword chi and killed. Since when did such a frightening sword artist come to the fortress? He seems to be only at the peak of early astral reaching realm. You still don't know? Yesterday, he burst out a frightening sword intent, scaring a late astral reaching realm warrior on the 3rd floor. Sword artists are indeed powerful. Only after reaching the Sea of Souls realm can other martial artists gradually compete with sword artists. For now, sword artists are the peak attacking power. Not everyone stayed in the fortress. Many human warriors chose to team up and fight against the blood demons. Relying on their skillful cooperation, they were able to preserve their lives. Cut! Killing a large amount of blood demons, Yi Chen held his sword with both of his hands and waved out a sword light imprinted with the sky-opening green lotus. The sword light expanded to several hundred meters long, seeming to be able to split the whole world. All of a sudden, countless blood demons were cut in half, crushed into pieces by the aftershock of the sword light. They could no longer form their bodies, and their consciousness had completely dissipated. Little brother, let's team up. It will be safer with more people. A team of 7 or 8 people approached Yi Chen. Yi Chen glanced at them. You guys can just follow me. Alright, we can help you kill the blood demons behind you. These people didn't look dissatisfied, since their goal was to fight with the blood demons and gain experience from it. If they had a sword artist as powerful as Yi Chen, they wouldn't have to be afraid even if they ran into a powerful high-rank blood demon. The team moved further and further away, increasing the distance between them and the fortress by dozens of li. Since you're here, then stay. While everyone was killing excitedly, a surging blood-red light suddenly shot out from a nearby mountain peak. The blood-red light contained great power and dyed the surrounding air blood-red. A top high-rank blood demon. Behind Yi Chen, a person said with a trembling voice. You guys don't need to worry about it. Leave it to me. Yi Chen was indeed not a top astral reaching realm warrior, but it didn't mean that a top astral reaching realm warrior could kill him easily. What he needed was a bitter, bloody battle. Blood explosion spell. The green lotus Xin Yuan burned fiercely as the ace attack of the minor blood demon body separating great art was performed. Yi Chen's whole body was covered in a blood-red flame, looking like a blood flame war god. Hee, interesting. It can actually increase its battling power twice. But, in the hands of me, the battle-mad blood demon, it will still be hard for you to escape death. This blood demon was one of the top blood demons, and already had his own title. Of course, there were also differences among the top blood demons. In Yi Chen's eyes, the blood demon was only slightly more powerful than him, so there was nothing to be afraid of. Devouring blood spear, die. The battle-mad blood demon opened his right hand, and a blood-colored light ball condensed in his palm. The light ball stretched out, turning into a blood-red spear. Shoo! The blood-red spear pierced through the air, creating a thin vacuum tunnel. Green Lotus Mountain, break! With his sword intent exploding to its limit, Yi Chen's sword landed heavily on the blood-red spear. Pang! The power contained in the long spear was unimaginable, and Yi Chen was blown back by it. However, something surprising happened. The moment Yi Chen's blood-red sword light touched the long spear, the latter suddenly started to burn, and its power started to decrease rapidly. What? The battle-mad blood demon was shocked. Yi Chen's Xin Yuan had ignited his devouring blood spear. It should be known that there were a lot of Xin Yuan that could suppress blood demons, such as Fire Xin Yuan, which could evaporate blood demon Xin Yuan, and Thunder Xin Yuan. But, he had never seen anyone's Xin Yuan being able to ignite blood demon Xin Yuan. Retreat! The battle-mad blood demon was a bit scared. He was only at the bottom of the top blood demons, and it was obviously impossible for him to kill Yi Chen. A top blood demon was beaten away. Teaming up with him is indeed a good thing. I don't have to worry too much about being devoured by the blood demons. Fighting was one thing, but life was another. If not for Yi Chen, they would not have left the fort too far, and would have only been fighting with the blood demons nearby. That way, they would be able to enter the light cover as soon as they encountered danger, but the rewards would be less. For example, during the dozens of li journey, they had obtained more than 10 low-rank weapons, all of which were left behind by the dead human warriors. They had given almost half to Yi Chen, so each of them could have won. Not to mention the battle experience they had gained from fighting. Days passed by, and Yi Chen would go out to fight every day. The number of people following him had gradually increased, and everyone knew that Yi Chen could suppress the blood demons. The threat he posed to the blood demons was equivalent to that of a top astral reaching realm warrior. On this day, 2 people had arrived at the demon resistance fort. They were indeed Daoist Jin Huang and the Rock Elder. After blowing away an astral reaching realm warrior who had come to trade for food, Daoist Jin Huang stepped into the fort. He gathered his Xin Yuan and yelled, Yi Chen, get the fuck out and face your death. Today, I will personally end your dog life. Daoist Jin Huang's full power roar was extremely powerful. His voice echoed throughout the fort. What is going on? Someone wants to kill Yi Chen. Isn't that the core master of the floating mountain martial school, Daoist Jin Huang? Everyone was discussing. Inside the room, Yi Chen heard Daoist Jin Huang's roar. His face was expressionless as he took out the Star Scar sword from his storage ring and wore it on his waist, then pushed open the door. Daoist Jin Huang, you are finally here. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.